In today's video, we're covering 7 hard truths that I've learned after 10 years of running a CNC business. This is not going to be one of those sugar-coated videos. These are going to be hard truths that you may not want to hear, but I think you need to hear. So now let's get right into it with mistake number 1. The next hard truth that I had to learn was picking profit over my passion. And many of y'all know me, y'all know a lot of my videos. I am a very passionate person, and so I have to derive passion in everything I do. And I'm very passionate about CNC and woodworking. And then I had the business come along, and I had to also worry about profit. To bring this point home, let me squat here and show you what I mean by and how this looks. And this is so hard for me. If you're a woodworker, you're gonna be able to relate to this. This is walnut. Look how beautiful this walnut is right here. My passion tells me to save that, make something cool, do all these cool things with all these cool pieces of walnut that we kind of have show up. The profit side of me says, hey Ryan, that's just going to become a cutting board and you're going to make some money off of it. Those two things conflict constantly, and especially when I'm looking at my CNC and I want to make really, really cool things, but I can't because I have to make money, because I have a business. Those things are really hard, and it's at the end of the day, so I'm just looking at this and I'm still like, it's so pretty, but I can't do that. I can't be here like saving every scrap, but that's my passion, right? That's what I'm passionate about. So what I've learned through my own experience is I found different passions along the way, along with my woodworking passion. So like many of you, I had a passion for systems and like making things work and making things efficient. But I've realized through all these trials and errors, like I have a passion for product design and making a marketable product and how to nest stuff on a CNC and all these systems I got to make and training employees and teaching them and trying to take good photos and doing marketing and teaching you guys and making videos and being in front of the camera. And so I still have all of my passion, but on the woodworking and the CNC side, I have to prioritize profit over it, and I've had to learn to take my passion energy and kind of flip it and morph it into a profitable energy as well. And so if you're super passionate and you don't want to start a woodworking business because you've heard it's going to kill your passion, I think there is a way to do both, because I'm doing both and I absolutely love my life. But at first, I had to make the switch, right? And I had to be like, it's okay, it's about money, but that's okay, because I'm going to figure out what I love along this whole entire journey. And so for you guys, just don't think it's always going to be a bad thing and that your passion should die, because I don't think it should die. But profit should take a podium spot above that passion for a little bit until you figure out what you're actually passionate about. And it very well may be that like you can't have this passion and make a profit at the same time. It may well be that, but for me, I've been able to do both, and I've found that journey to be the most beautiful journey ever. So now let's go to the next hard truth. The next hard truth is about managing your expectations. So everybody thinks they're gonna get a CNC and business is just gonna start flowing in. I am here to tell you, first and foremost, the number one problem you're not gonna have is being so busy you can't keep up. That is a fallacy that you may hear over and over again. And I say that not to discourage you, to say like, it's not gonna happen for you, fella. What I'm saying is it's gonna take a lot longer than you think to build up that demand. Some of you may get lucky and demand's just gonna go right away, or you may know my story and you may know that like all of a sudden I had this overnight success product and now I have this really cool shop. That is not the full story. I started when I was 16 years old, didn't hire my first employee till I was 19, didn't have 3 employees until I was 22 years old. So 6 years after I started, I finally had 3 employees. 2 of them were my parents, right? It took a long freaking time to finally build up demand to be able to get a machine this size. Over 8 years of working my tail off day in and day out. And then when you finally get demand and you finally get rolling, you have to find amazing people like this to come in and help you, that believe in it. Like Daniel right here, right? Like this big fella, right? Anthony right here, and I gotta brag on Anthony, was my very, very first employee. Anthony sanded in my parents' horse barn for 8 hours a day. That was what he did. To find a believer like that when you're first starting out and you finally get busy, I am very fortunate to have that. But that demand didn't come until we got busy. Anthony came in 3 years after I started doing it. Then you have Thomas right here. He actually wants to learn CNC and helps me program it. Right now he's standing at the table. Why? Because our demand for our CNCs ain't always there. Sometimes we have to find stuff to do. And so manage your expectations about when you start your CNC business. The floodgates don't just open. Just because you build a website, orders don't just flow in. Just because you put an Etsy site up, orders don't just flow in. I want you to manage expectations and know it's a longer timeline than you think, but it's the most rewarding, fulfilling timeline ever. And if you're up for the task, you're gonna be great at it. Now let's go on to the next hard truth. The next hard truth is gonna be idle machines. So whether you have large machines like this or a hobby machine in your garage or in your shed, it does not matter. When that machine is sitting idle, you know it's not making money. And that's what I think is very particular about people that have a CNC business, is because when that machine is sitting and it's not making that beautiful sound of that bit cutting through whatever material you're cutting, you know it's not making you money. And you know, like deep down, like super deep down, that like if that machine is not running, I'm not making any money. And so every time this machine right here sits and doesn't run, you get that horrible knot in your stomach that's like, this machine's not making any money, right? And that's such a hard truth that nobody talks about, because everybody wants to tell you all the good and all the uppity stuff, like, man, your machine's gonna constantly run, you're gonna always be selling these. A lot of times they sit idle. And so if you have a business and you wanna scale, just know that this idle time does happen. You're gonna have to get over it. You have to make a product so profitable or make your machine so good at cutting out that it does sit idle and can sit idle all the time. And when that machine does run and makes that beautiful noise of that bit cutting material and is screaming at you a little bit, that's the sound of money, and you're gonna absolutely love it. So that idle time is awful. How you need to get around it and adjust is maybe take on jobs that are just cut jobs or keep that machine going, or maybe you shouldn't try to scale up. Because when these larger machines are sitting idle, it's costing me a lot more money than if I have a hobby machine sitting in my garage staying idle. Now, with all that being said, hopefully you don't have an idle machine, and if it does sit idle, you're just gonna have to get used to it. It's okay, as long as the product that it's cutting out will make enough money to pay for that idle time. But just know, if you are trying to make money with the CNC, you will have that little knot when this machine or your machine is sitting idle, but it's okay, because you're gonna get through it, you're gonna work your tail off. Now let's go on to the next hard truth. The next hard thing for you to hear is that the best product idea doesn't always win. The best idea that is the most marketable always wins. So let me go right here in my dip room and kind of show you what I mean. So in here is where we dry all of our product. The hard thing that I had to learn was, I'm so creative and I had all these great product ideas. You know what my business makes? It makes cutting boards and charcuterie boards like this right here. It's not fancy. And it hurts me because I am a woodworker. I want to make like the most best product ever. I have these really cool CNC machines. But the thing is, those products are not easily marketable. So if you have this really cool thing and you're trying to sell it online, but it doesn't look good in photos, it probably won't sell, because you cannot market that through a photo. You may have to go to like a trade show for that. And vice versa, if you have a personalized product and you take it to trade shows, and I've done this, it doesn't sell at the trade shows because it's a better online product. And I go a lot more in depth on this on CIC Academy, but it's like, what product is marketable for whatever sales channel you're trying to target? And this took me a very long time, and I still have flops where I'm like, this piece of wood right here is the best piece of wood ever, right? Like, look how awesome it is. It's hard, it's out of walnut, people are gonna love it. They're gonna put it wherever the heck they're gonna put it, and they're gonna use it, and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. If you cannot market it that way, nobody's gonna buy the thing. And so for you guys watching this, and you're probably 100 times more creative than I am, the issue is, it's not the best product idea that's gonna win. It's the best way to market that product that's gonna win at the end of the day. Now let's go on to the next hard truth. The next hard truth is bigger isn't always better. And I say that in regards to this machine right here. So to give you a little bit of backstory, when I was starting off, I had a 2 foot by 3 foot Laguna IQ. And I always wanted a shop saber at the time. And when I finally got it, I always wanted this dual head, dual table. This was the dream of getting this machine. And I will tell you, first and foremost, constantly getting bigger and bigger machines isn't always better. getting the upgrade and having these really cool tool changes like this, where it actually spins and it picks it up, I still love that. Even though all that is really cool, it's not necessarily better. What's better is a machine that you utilize. So for me, whenever I upgraded my machines, I didn't get the bigger machine until my smaller machine was running 12 to 20 hours a day. And then I upgraded. And then when that next machine was running 12 to 20 hours a day, then I upgraded again. And then when I had two shop savers right here running 24 hours a day, I then upgraded to this. And I say all of that because a lot of you want to start upgrading to the next biggest machine, right? Remember when I talked about idle time? When that thing sits idle, or even when this machine sits idle, which it does maybe a couple days a week, it hurts. And you got to remember that pain and remember all that cost. The best machine is a utilized machine. And so if you have a small machine, but it's getting utilized, it's a lot better than a bigger machine that you use one day a week, right? Like, it's a lot better than that. So if you have a smaller machine and you're running it and you're utilizing it, it's a heck of a lot better than a bigger machine that's idle. So that's the hard truth that you need to know. Now let's go to the next one. So if you want to learn how to make money with your CNC, check out CSC Academy. Link is in the description. We talk about how to make money with your CNC, feeds and speeds, and everything in between. Check it out. Link is in the description. The next hard truth is perfection is unattainable. And I come from like an engineering mind, right? It's black or it's white, it's right or it's wrong. I am very particular because there's always a correct answer. But in the world of CNC and woodworking, there's sometimes not the most perfect answer because it's like an economist, right? It depends. So as you look down here, there's a whole bunch of waste and scraps that we have on a day-to-day basis, right? And we can physically see this waste. With you and your CNC journey, you're not gonna be able to physically see all the waste, but you're gonna know it's there. Whether it's a bit not running at the optimum speed, whether it's a CNC not moving optimally, a sanding system not perfect, the wood is not perfectly planed down. There's gonna be so many imperfections in your business. And if you let that drive you crazy, you will in fact go crazy. I've done this for years and I drive myself crazy because it's like, it has to be perfect. And perfection does not lead to success in business. I've learned that Gitmo leads to success in business. Good enough to move on. So my recommendation is get about 95% there, okay? I typically make 3 iterations and then I move on. So if you're there day after day tweaking it, you're not doing yourself a favor, you're actually doing your business more harm than good. So like right here is a perfect example. This is a pallet full of product that did not work out for various reasons. Whether my laser engraver was off, whether the wood had a knot in it, whether it slipped on the CNC, whether we had a chip out on this maple right here. There's so many things that go wrong on a day-to-day basis. Luckily, mine's just scaled up because we produce a lot of product. This used to drive me crazy. Seeing that scrap by that saw drove me crazy because I am from the mindset like there is a right answer and there is a wrong answer. If you let that drive you crazy and try to be perfect, there's only one man that ever walked on water. He was perfect and you're not him. So do not have that pressure on yourself. You're gonna be okay. Embrace that imperfect journey, that learning, all those phases you're gonna go through because it's not going to be the most perfect thing for you and that's okay. Get used to it, get 90, 95% there, and then it's good enough to move on. Now, next hard truth. And the last hard truth is a CNC is just another tool. Now, let me explain my unique perspective on this. So I have came up through about every single piece of equipment that a woodworker or a CNC person would go through, right? I had the hobbyist and I went up to intermediary, then professional like this, then a super commercial industrial machine. I've had the smaller planers and upgraded planers from drum sanders to wide belt sanders to table saws to rip saws. I've had all those little things. And what I realized is that these machines are only as good as the time they're running. And so if you have a smaller machine at your house and it's running, and I have this big one right here sitting idle, remember I talked about that idleness and that pain that you feel, you're better off than me, right? And that's when I always say bigger is not always better. And I'm trying to loop all these truths around because this one I think is the most important thing to learn if you're looking at CNCs is that I can give you this machine right here and set it inside your house, your garage, your barn, your shed, whatever. And you can have a 2 foot by 2 foot machine and it's running and it's gonna make you more money. And trust me, I went through 8 different machines now and I have not seen a single machine that prints money. I haven't. I've tried, I've looked, I put different bits in there, I put a $1 bill in there, see if I spun it really fast. If it turned into a $100 bill, it does not. And so at the end of the day, this is just a tool. And so if you're thinking the CNC market is super saturated because you're seeing all these videos and all these people are starting to get them, that doesn't matter. That's just like saying the hammer market is saturated and too many people know how to use hammers. It's like, no, the difference is people that own CNCs and people that own them and know how to use them. And those are two different things. So for you watching this, you've stuck around to the end. You got all these points. You're trying to learn from all of my mistakes that I made. You're growing your knowledge base, your pyramid of knowledge, that deck of knowledge that you have, because you're one of the only ones that's going to have a CNC and know how to use it. And those are two very unique things. So let 100,000 people buy CNCs. That doesn't matter, because the amount of people that are going to go in depth and learn about their tool that they have, which is their CNC, and how to make money with it, there's only few and far between, and I think that market is never going to be saturated. It's never going to be tapped into. So thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. If you want another business tip that'll actually provide value, check out this video right here. And as always, guys, remember, if you ain't cutting it close, you ain't cutting it right.